Hey everyone, welcome to Chain Reaction. This is the big day, the big announcement here. I'm actually here with my father, Steve. He's in the bottom corner, and he will be talking here in a second. We're going to wait for a few people to come in here, but it's good to see everyone. What is happening here? Hopefully you read the little teaser that I did on X, and I think you're going to be blown away with what's going on. But first, just to say a quick hi, we got Cosmic Disarray in chat. Kachow, Ronnie Lido, Dive Jedi, what's up, fun under the sun? Happy Friday. Good to see everyone here. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. So what exactly is going on here? So RarityX, and I've talked a little bit about them in the past, and I've been following what's been going on with the case that they have against, of course, Ozone Network Inc., which we all know as OpenSea. So let me go ahead and pull up a blurb that the law firms had put out back in October. Law Advisory PLLC offers legal support to RarityX and patent infringement lawsuit against OpenSea NFT marketplace. So RarityX, for almost 20 years, has had patents that deal with NFTs, that deal with blockchain marketplaces. And of course, we've seen recently coming to fruition all these different marketplaces, OpenSea, Magic Eden, even Vivi, and all these out there. Many did not know that there were patents out there, and RarityX actually has them. And back, in I think about October, around that time, they tried to approach OpenSea to try to work out a deal with them. They did not want to be litigious about it. And they ended up saying, no, we don't believe in your patent. And so a lawsuit was filed. It was filed by Law Advisory, who is out of Washington, D.C., and Tucker Ellis, LLP, who is here in St. Louis. Now, it's been moving along for the past couple months. And in May, they had a tentative deal to settle the case, but it had not been consummated at that time. And this is all public record. I'm only talking about what's in the public record. But the owner of the company, Mike Tsai, and his wife, Shower, have told me recently that it actually has been officially settled. So Ozone Network, OpenSea, has settled with RarityX, with them. So now that case is gone. So what exactly does that mean moving forward? We're going to get into that, but let me pull up my father. This is Steve here. And let me introduce him real quick. He is a retired executive. He's a certified SCORE member. So he helps people, he helps entrepreneurs start new businesses. And this is how he came in contact with Mike Tsai and Shower. So I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about Mike and all that. And if you have questions or anything like that, let me know in chat. I will try to get to everything. I see everyone there. But let's go ahead and bring them on. Go ahead and tell us a little bit, a little bit about yourself, and then what's going on here with RarityX.
Well, thanks for having me on. This is fun to be here with you. SCORE, for those of you who don't know, is part of the Small Business Administration, and it's made up of retired executives from many different business fields. We go through some training and certification, and then we provide free consulting, free coaching, free mentoring, whatever you want to call it, to small businesses all over the country. There are thousands of us that do it. It's all by volunteer. And so any of you out there, there's probably a chapter in a city near you, and all you have to do is contact them. You can go to score.org on the internet, find one near you, and ask for help. Plus, if you just want to get educated, we offer free seminars probably almost every day of the week. So you can have them some during the day, some in the evening. I just did one yesterday, which was how to interview prospects and what information you can learn from that. As my son said, I'm going to be very careful with names. He told me not to use any of his nicknames today, so I will honor that. We had a grant from the National Science Foundation and provided help to any engineers and scientists that wanted to commercialize their inventions. And we had over 1,300 people come through our program in a little over 3 years. And Mike and Shower were among the many people that did. And so I got to know them, gave them some advice, helped them with a few things. And I'll tell you what's exciting is watching somebody who had an idea, went through the process. And it's a long process to get that patented so that they could have this. And now it's a thing where they want to protect that investment of time and money. And they went out and they would rather just negotiate deals with everybody. But some people have said, no, we don't want to make a deal with you. And so then you end up in court. And there have been many of these battles between small inventors and giants over the years. In fact, one of the most famous had to do with the intermittent windshield wipers on cars, where the person who had invented it, it took them like 20 years to get money from the big three automakers, but they finally ran out of appeals, were found guilty, and the estate made the money. I believe that the man had passed away before the final decisions. But what we're seeing here is pretty exciting. Mike and Shower spent many years building their portfolio of patents, and now they're trying to protect all that work they did. And it's nice to see that a big company like OpenSea settled.
Exactly. So I guess like now, like what's the big deal? So OpenSea settles with RarityX, and that's final, that's done. And again, this is all in the public record. So if you look in the description, you can see links to some of the documents there, and you can also look it up on Pacer if you want to find out more. But the reason this is so huge is that's where they started with OpenSea. But it doesn't end there. And again, I want to be clear, they do not want to be litigious. They don't, the idea is they worked hard for their patent and their patents, for NFTs. And of course, if you look into it, they call it different things. And we're not going to go over that today. And of course, Chain Reaction is going to be a new show that I'm going to be doing. That's going to be covering the progression of, RarityX, what they're doing to protect their patents, and also some of the stuff they're going to be doing on their own as their own marketplace. So this is to protect themselves, their marketplaces. But as you saw in the thumbnail, there's no limit to who they're going to go after. But the goal is hopefully to work with people and to not put people out of business, but just put them in line with their patents. And like I said, they claim and that they own the patents to NFTs, but it's more about the marketplaces themselves. And RarityX themselves is going to be more in the business of real world assets. I know I've talked about it on my show before. I've talked about it with Big A, who I see in chat. I see everyone in chat. And this is going to be huge. I think this is going to be huge, not just for, I know a lot of people on Vivi. This could be huge for just NFTs as a whole. I believe that the real world assets are going to take over everything because it is going to be regulated. So none of this pump and dump, and it's not just going to be JPEGs, as we talked about on the show. NFTs are more than just JPEGs. They can be event tickets. We've seen that recently, where even stadiums are now going to have just NFTs for event tickets. We've seen California, the DMV, using NFTs. It's been used in real estate. And now with the real world assets, and I'm going to pull up their website here, they're going to be selling stuff that maybe you wouldn't have access to, and pooling people to own these assets and fractionalize items, which I think is really cool. And it's going to be really big for the space. So people who, say NFTs are a 4-letter word and whatever, it's not going to be just RarityX that is going to be changing this, but the whole space is going to be changed. And we've seen a small corner of what NFTs are, but it's going to be amazing to see what happens, and exciting to kind of see RarityX grow and see where things go.
Right.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
So one of the things that I think is really important that you've just said, and maybe this is because I'm in a slightly different generation than you, but But a lot of the people I know don't get the invisible form NFT and how that's important. But you take somebody like what Mike's doing, where he's going to take collectible coins, actual coins, and then be able to put this in a museum where it's visible and people can see it. But the ownership of that coin may be spread over 100 people, 1,000 people. It depends on the value and the price. And now, as these real assets become worth more over time, they can be sold. And then the people who own them, it's just like stock, can get the increase in value out of them. And I think what you said is really important. This is not going to be done under the table. So this is all SEC approved. Yes, there will be capital gains that you would have to pay, but one of the things I always like to say, the only thing worse than paying a capital gain is not needing to pay any. So, if you've made money, that's a good thing. And this will actually be very well regulated. You don't need any new forms or new laws to be able to do it. It's just like trading any stock or bond. So I think this is a very big thing. And I think Mike and Schauer have a real edge here with the patents that they own and the ability to take things like coins. I know that's one they're talking about. Cars, real estate. Brian, you were talking about a whole bunch of things that could be sold, and that's important.
Yeah, there's really no limits, and I guess the big thing is that real world assets are going to legitimize NFTs. Again, we've seen a lot of what's happened in this space. People think they're scams, whatever it is. But also very recently, we've seen FIFA, we've seen stadiums. I know even here in St. Louis, the Cardinals had NFTs to represent their tickets. And like I said, this is where it's going. Really cool stuff, talking to Mike, they even own patents to fractionalize real estate. Now, of course, in I guess we'll say the real world, we have REITs and stuff like that. But this is going to take it to a new place. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. And I will, moving forward, I'm going to have Mike and Schauer on. Just kind of wanted to go over, again, the case. This is, people are probably going to say it's not really a big deal, or I don't get how it's going to affect anything, but this can literally affect every marketplace out there. And Mike and Schauer, and of course, the lawyers, Tucker Ellis, the goal is to just get everyone in line with the patents, not to like put people out of business, but they are going to defend the patent. And like I've said, now they've moved on from OpenSea. That settled, one of the biggest NFT marketplaces, and they're going to move on to the others. But hopefully these things will all be worked out. And of course, if you happen to own a marketplace or anything, they are the people to contact to bring yourself online, because they do know all the marketplaces, and they're looking into, and they're already moving on to the next businesses. Now, of course, if you have any questions, let me know in chat. I see Dive Jedi here. So what does this all have to do with Star Trek? We're not even going to get into that, but good to see you, Dive Jedi. Splint, happy Friday. Good to see you, fam. So again, if you have any questions, let us know. Again, you can go to their website, which is RarityX.com. Now, they have not really been, they have this stuff working on in the background. There's been certain things that has happened with family and stuff that has slowed down, but they're now going to hit the pavement running, getting their own marketplace up and running. And I may help them. I don't work for RarityX Consulting or whatever, just because Mike is a family friend. But I'll be keeping an eye on the cases, and I guess the most interesting thing will be that moving forward, as the cases are brought against people, if they're unable to settle, we'll be covering those here, because there are bigger marketplaces now than OpenSea. I had actually muted my father because I heard him making noise in the background. Mike has, he's an inventor. He's done a lot of different things. What can you tell us about Mike, and just this project dealing with him over the years. How have you helped him, and where do you see things going here in the next couple of years?
Well, see, with any inventor, they've got a couple ways to go, and one is to only live off of royalties, and the other is to actually use the patents yourself. And Mike and Shower are going down both paths, so that they will be doing fractionalization of different assets where they know people through family connections who own some pretty important things. And the idea that you can own part of a famous painting, that maybe you can go to the St. Louis Art Museum and see it hanging, and you know that you own 1/1000th or 1/100th of that painting, and it's already valued at multi-millions. And your hope is that over time it will become tens of millions. And that if you can increase the value, just like with any stock, 10 times, you're doing very good. But they also will be making money off of the royalties. There's no doubt about that. And there are a number of different models that they can use, where it would be a subscription type model. You pay for use of the patents and use them as much as you want. There are models where the patents are charged based on the dollar value of the transactions that you do. And all of these are possibilities. And that's where, mentors like me work with people like Mike and Shower to help them understand what are all the different ways to go about this. But again, as we said earlier, the big thing here is they are just excited about the settlement, because now they are moving forward. They know their idea is a good idea. They're setting up their own program to sell real asset collectibles, but they also want other people who are, we'll call it infringing, because that's the legal title on the patent, to have to ante up, and they just can't do it and take advantage of what Mike invented without having to be fair to Mike.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people here from Vivi. You can see a lot of the stuff that they did even before Vivi, doing collectibles, having them, scanned to use in a marketplace. One of the real interesting things that Steve was talking about are the museums. This is actually one of the big projects that he's going to be doing to actually help raise fund for museums. They're actually having a lot of trouble. A lot of the museums around the country and the world are having trouble raising funds. And so one of the ideas is to actually give the museums a way to fractionalize their art. Not enough that somebody's gonna be able to just take it off the wall and run away with it, but get people interested in the art and actually own a piece of it that they can trade later. So that's going to be one of the really cool things that they're going to be working on. He's actually working with some companies already to put that out. The sky is the limit, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see where NFTs go. And they're really going to push that limit, and we're seeing that in real world. That a bunch of companies are starting to change, beyond just a picture or a collectible. What's nice though is everything's secured with them. They have insurance. They're doing all sorts of stuff. It's not just arts. They actually have this to sign up for on their sign. They didn't fix the date on that, but they're going to be releasing coins that you're going to be able, that I think that one has a value of 75,000, and it's going to be fractionalized and sold. And depending, it's just really nice to back something up. And I've talked about this on the show with a real world asset. So it is not just a JPEG, as some people say. It's a picture that represents true ownership. Let's see what Dive Jedi is asking here. There is no point if you own 1/100th of a painting if that painting will never be sold because it is museum. It's not a bad point, and I know Dive Jedi likes to troll people in a good way, and it is not a bad point. But you have to look at it as somebody, and this is not one of the things that's going to happen, but let's say, for instance, Mona Lisa, right? Like, this isn't going to happen with Mona Lisa. There's other popular paintings this could happen. But people do support museums. I know my parents belong to a bunch of different museums in St. Louis, and Just imagine being able to
Arizona,
have
everywhere.
air, right, where you stay, where you go for the winter and stuff like that. So imagine having ownership in that. And you might not care. Just like people say, I don't care if you've got a Superman collectible. Uh, it's worthless to me. People can say that about any NFT, but there will be a group of people that will like that. Now, the museum is just one example, right? That is where you're going to actually be helping them out. And a lot of people might not even care if they have value. But just like the rarity of stuff that we have on Vivi and other platforms, the same thing can exist with these collectibles for museums.
Right.
The difference is it will be backed up. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so a couple of things I think are very important here, and it was a very good question. Number one, like you said, there are some pictures like a Mona Lisa, Picasso. These are in a museum, and the museums can use this as a way to raise additional funds. And yeah, you're never going to sell that. It's going to be there forever. It'll be part of your estate. It's still no way to raise funds. But more importantly, if you go to as many museums as I do, you will notice that many of the exhibits are on loan. They're on loan from a family, they're on loan from an organization, and now they can be on loan from RarityX. So RarityX can purchase an item. Let's say it's a piano, and it's going to be in the Musical Instrument Museum. And that's a little plug for MIM. If any of you ever get out to Scottsdale, Phoenix area, it is the only musical instrument museum in the world, and it's fascinating. And so, as you said, we've joined a lot of museums to help support them. Well, they will have an instrument that might be on loan, and the family has taken it and put it out to be fractionalized, and that maybe has funded the family some ability to take a vacation or do something they wanted. And at some point, they're going to say, you know what, we still own 30% of this. We're going to put it up on the market to sell. And at that point, it turns into cash for every one of the people who own a piece of it. And again, yeah, if it's $100 item and there are 100 people who have purchased $1 value each, even if it doubles in value, that's not going to mean a lot going from $1 to $2. But if you own an antique car, and again, a little plug for the St. Louis Art Museum, they have an exhibit of antique cars right now, some of which are worth $5, 10, $12 million. It's an amazing exhibit. Go look at the pictures online. So one of those would be worthwhile if they take that and divide it up into 100 pieces and it doubles in value. You're talking about real money. So there is a real play here for a lot of these assets. And for any of you listening, if you have an asset that you'd like to turn into cash, but you want to be able to not give it away right now, the one thing that has to happen, and this again is what you were saying early on, this is to protect everybody out there. The insurance on the item and the item itself will be put somewhere where it is protected, where you can actually see it, you know it's there, and if it's moved, if it's sold, you will get your value back plus whatever increase in value there was. So this is a two-edged sword. One, you can help fund museums. I might like to take in, there's a dinosaur in the St. Louis Science Museum, and maybe they take that dinosaur and sell 1,000 parts of it. Well, that would be a nice way. I could say I own part of the dinosaur. They're never going to sell it, but I know I'm doing that as a donation. And yet they have other things that at the end of a program will be sold, and those can turn into cash.
Right. And that is also not even talking about potential utility. One of the things about the art, and this again would not be for something in a museum that isn't going to be potentially sold, but if you want to play with the big dogs, right? Like people know that the wealthy like to park their money into art. The art goes up and down like the stock market, but it is a great place. This is going to give somebody the opportunity, if they did get a decently well-known piece of art that's worth something that gets fractionalized. Let's say the market's down, you buy in a down market, and then it goes up. They may never actually sell that painting, but your ownership in it will have value to somebody who may want that and see that value, and maybe they will sell it. Maybe there'll be an agreement to sell it or not. That's all things that are being worked out now. But this is the future. This is the absolute future where things are going. I've heard the argument, like, why would somebody want to buy a fraction of a car? Because you're not going to be able to drive it. And I kind of get that. But if you're doing it for value, that can work out. And you can see across the bottom all sorts of things, documents signed by people, timepieces, architecture, gems, jewelry. I think a big one is going to be real estate, how that goes. Like I said before, we have REITs right now if you invest in the stock market and stuff like that. But this is just going to open it up to more people. And I can imagine, like with real estate, where people don't have access to being able to buy stuff, they might actually do it now in this space or a marketplace. But it's going to be expanding beyond that. So yeah, if you have any more questions, let us know. Let's see what Ronnie Lido's saying, because Ronnie is an artist. I could see this something too. He makes a big mural. Maybe he wants to get $10,000 out of it, and it's held somewhere, and we can all own a piece. He gets his money, it's fractionalized, and it can be sold. He's saying the new Tesla cabs, we all could go in on one with a piece and send it out to work. Now that is actually a really good idea, Ronnie. And that's what's really cool about this. Yes, I have Mike's ear and he's listening. And we've talked about on my stream, how I think it would be cool to have our comics on Vivi backed by an actual comic. So the value, just like our money in the US used to be backed by silver and gold, kind of the same idea. But that is exactly the type of stuff. And I'm going to actually let them know that, Ronnie, and let them know that you came up with that. But that is exactly the type of thing that we're going to see with NFTs. And I could see RarityX doing that. I don't know what you think about that, Steve, but I mean, think about that. Like, you literally could buy one car and say, maybe you make an agreement. If we make enough, we're going to buy another one. And you could literally just have these cars just work for you. And you got in early because you were able to share it with 1,000 people, but then you were able to actually buy into a fleet. It's actually a really cool idea. Buy local art, not dead people's art. And that's the other thing. And we know, and Dive Jet, I really do actually appreciate the question there. There's going to be certain things that people aren't going to want, but as we have seen in the NFT space, people mostly want to make profit, right? They're going to attempt to do it anywhere they can. And there will be people who will believe that there will be value. Maybe there's only, if they did the Mona Lisa, maybe there'll only be 100, and that money goes to the art museum. It's never going to be sold, but those are our official, copies. We know Elmon X has already done Mona Lisa, so that's not going to happen. That's all money laundering, right? He's right about art. But yeah, just hearing that, like, what do you think about that? That's actually a really good idea, going in on one of these new Tesla cabs and just have these things work for you. And you literally can do it now because you've pulled a group of people together where otherwise you may not even know enough people to do it yourself.
So Brian, you have the Waymos in
Yes.
up in San
Arizona
Francisco and in Scottsdale, which are Jaguars. They're actually very nice cars. The first time one passed me on the road, it freaked me out because there was no driver. And it is really weird to see that on the highway, a car going by you with nobody steering it.
Right.
But one of the things that's going to be happening here, I believe, is there's going to be a sense of reality that maybe isn't there for an NFT. The NFTs, like the comics, how many thousands can you have? Well, it's a lot, and you keep increasing the number of people that can buy in just to generate more traffic, but not necessarily generate value. If you're going to take a piece of art and you're not going to divide it into 10,000 pieces, you're going to take this piece of art that may have a value today of $10,000, and you may only sell 10 pieces. Okay,
right.
This is not going to be how many people can I get to buy in. This is what is a good value and what would make it worthwhile for somebody to invest. So I think the whole calculation that people use as to what to buy and how much to buy and how much it's worth is going to change.
Right. And this is a good point, Ronnie Lido. The nice thing about what Mike has done, and actually Law Advisory, you can see that on there. One of the lawyers on there is part of the company. And so they have an SEC lawyer. This is all going to be regulated. Now, of course, you can have scams with things that are regulated, but the idea is to take NFTs and that name and that four-letter word that people think it is because of what happened 5 years ago or 6 years ago, is to change the way we look at NFTs and the possibilities of them and bring them more mainstream. We're not mainstream. We talk about this every day, but it's something that's big. But yes, you certainly could have scammers. But I know with Bike, they want to control this and make sure this is done above board. But he understands. All right, so yeah, go ahead.
Let me just throw in another thing, because I think this is very important. One of the comments that I saw scroll up was about, hey, at the end of the year, you can have a meeting and decide to sell or not to sell. This is all part of what we're going to learn over the next year, year and a half. I mean, every day we're going to have new lessons. This is brand new territory. This has not really been done before. You talk about REITs. They were very well regulated. That's real estates that we actually own a few. And I will tell you, there were good times and bad times with them. And there was a lot of learning. When they first came out, people made a lot of mistakes in the way they invested, in the way they set them up. And over time, we learned. Well, I think there's going to be a lot of learning here, too. This is not something that has been done for 100 years. It's been done for a couple of years. And we're going to learn. And maybe there will be quarterly meetings where you can decide to sell something or not. And this is all part of how you divide it up. In some cases, if it's the Mona Lisa and they're trying to raise money for the museum in Paris, they may say this can never be sold as a physical asset to a real life buyer, but the value can be traded in these individual pieces as much as you want. And yet other things, we may say, hey, this is something we're going to fractionalize. We're going to sell 100 pieces, and our goal is to flip it in 1 year. And then the people who own the 100 pieces will get either a win or a loss, depending on how the flip went. But as you mentioned early on, this is all going to be within SEC rules. It's all going to follow the laws of the country. It's not a place to just launder money and hide money. It's going to be real assets with real tangible capabilities that you can use them for.
Absolutely. And you were talking about Dive Jedi, very smart guy. We talk a lot offline. I really like him. Vivi could buy a 9.8 comic for 20,000. Absolutely sell 1,000 NFTs that represent 1/1000th ownership, and have a vote every year to keep or sell it and share the results of that sale. And absolutely, and this is exactly where things can be exciting, and get rid of this idea that they are just JPEGs. It's really good. Like the funny thing, we don't have that many people watching right now, but I guarantee you in 2 or 3 years, this is just going to be like a no-brainer. Like what is going to happen? And it's nice that RarityX, the weirdest thing is it's a complete coincidence that I got into VV and NFTs and into this space, and Steve, my father, he's known Mike for many, many years, and I've known him for many years. And it's just so weird how this like came together, to think that I know the person who owns, he says he owns the patent to NFTs and NFT marketplaces, and real world assets. I think that's where they're going to really try to bring everyone in line. There's a bunch of companies out there that sell real world assets, and I've read through all the patents, and I think that's going to be easy for them to protect. But yeah, Dive Jet, a great idea, and I think that this is where this is going to go. And Ronnie's saying there's a correct way of doing this. We will own nothing in the future. my opinion future-wise, or we own it collectively. I don't know. We'll have to see. Owning anything will be a distant ideology possibility. I mean, right now with our NFTs and everything like that, it's fun, it's neat, but the collectibles on Vivi are really cool. But it's going to go so much beyond that. Let's see. Owning anything will be a distant ideology possibility. Absolutely. So we'll have to see what happens here. And I really do like Dive Jedi's idea. Ronnie, I like the idea of pulling together to buy, these cabs and having them work for us. It makes sense, because the other thing is that you do something with the ownership, there's going to be, insurance and all these things that most people don't think about. But as a collective, you can actually start a business and do it right. And that's where, RarityX is going to come into play for a marketplace. And there'll be other people, But like I said, RarityX is going to defend as best they can their patents, and they believe they have the patents for these marketplaces and stuff like that. And again, they're going to be doing stuff. I've been talking to him. Oh, this is going to go to another page. I've been talking to him about, stuff that they could do with Vivi or any of that. So I would love to see collaborations, real world assets and stuff like that on Vivi. Big A, what's up? He is my friend and fellow streamer with me. This has already gone through proof of concept. Masterworks has been selling shares of art for over 5 years. This appears to be more robust application of the concept. Absolutely. And the thing, and I've talked to Mike and Shower about this, there's the reality that a lot of people just, who's going to know that he has the patents of some of the stuff they're doing. A lot of people might not know. They don't, this is a fairly new space. Like I said, some of these patents go back to 2006, 2011, before we were even thinking about it. I mean, they have stuff, even an interview with Fox News going back, I think 15 years, 2012, 13 years, something like that. And it was nothing back then. And this just kind of blew up after 2017. And here we are now. Again, we always joke about we're early. We were really early, because I can tell you, and Big A has talked about this with me, the FIFA, soccer getting involved with NFTs, stadiums. It's just going to go on and on and on. There's another company too that has done this. Yeah, there's Raribles and stuff like this. And like I said, Mike is very aware of these companies. A lot of them may not even know that there's an infringement on their patent. But they're going to try to work with those companies. But if not, they are, working with Tucker Ellis and Law Advisory to make sure that they can protect their stuff. Yeah. Oh, Raribles. That's it. Yep. That is it. All right. So, yeah, I mean, this is like you're saying, Steve, it's very interesting. This is what's nice about these streams. It just, most people in here from Vivi just, this is what we think about. We dream a lot, right? Like we want Vivi to do really well, be successful. And we're just so interested in seeing what's going to happen in the future. And we want to be part of it. And the cool thing is we are. And, I'm going to take a lot of these ideas that I'm seeing in here, and I'm betting Mike can make this happen, or there'll be other places that will. And the future is just really big. Go ahead if you have something else to say. We'll see.
Okay, I was going to say, you can watch for when we unmute. That's usually telling you I want to say something. I really need to raise my hand in this to catch your attention. And I'm not really dressed in a coat and tie for being on the picture, but of course you aren't either. Anyway, I think a lot of this is going to be learning. We don't know where it's going to go. All of these things. I mean, I can tell you my degree, for those of you who don't care at all, happens. I have two, one in computer science and one in industrial technology. So I was a geek before we knew what geeks were. And I will tell you, we were working on something in the late 60s on large mainframe computers that you're now calling artificial intelligence. So a lot of this has taken a long time to take off. We were building some really interesting programs, and we had built a psychiatrist and we built a schizophrenic, and we had a conversation between them, but we didn't have the voices yet. It was a conversation on paper. And so the psychiatrist would ask a question and it would print out, and then the schizophrenic would type out the answer. And this is not new things. It's just that we have more capabilities and we have enough power to be able to do it differently. So to those of you who are saying, well, this is not really something brand new. Well, it is, because now we have more capabilities to do things electronically and without human intervention than we've ever had before. And that's going to change the way the whole world works. And I look at your generation and the next generation and think how exciting it would be to be 20 again. Nah, forget that. I don't want to start all over again. But there are exciting things happening. And I think everybody listening to this, you should be thinking about how this can change the world, because you can apply these patents and you pay your fair share for using them and then change the way business works. And that's exciting.
Right. And like Big A saying, I said, yes. So it is tokenized. You're going to basically, you're taking a real world asset, and the NFT is the representation of it. And of course, the blockchain is what protects you and the information there. But yes, and anything could be tokenized. And that is exactly, if you go through the patents, you'll actually see that that's what they're describing, how to sell them. Having a metaverse type place to interact with them. So, the difference between what we're getting right now on some of the platforms that we use, like VV or I know Candy is going to be doing also like their Futureverse. You're going to be able to do all of that. In addition, you actually have ownership in something real, not just this picture. Although I do think that having ownership with what we have on VV is also very good, collectible stuff like that. But I do believe tying it to a real asset. One of the things I talked about with Mike years ago was the idea, because he knows a lot of people, and we got to talking about Star Wars, and he knows some of those people. I'm not going to get into the names, but them. Ownership of old, sets from Star Wars. Now imagine if those were traveling. And imagine if, in order to see them for free, if you could get lucky enough to get one of the NFTs of that, you could just go when it hit your town or whatever, you could go visit and get to enjoy an old set from a Star Wars movie or something like that, or another movie set. There's just so many possibilities there.
It's even better than that, because as it travels around, if they're making money charging for people to visit, that could be paid back to the owners of all of, as your Big A said, the tokens. So if you own 1/10 of the show and the show makes $100,000 in a year, you get $10,000. That ain't a bad deal. Now, one other thing that I know happened, maybe it's got to be 15, 20 years ago already. Some young people, and many of you I consider young people, were selling themselves on a fractional basis. They needed to be able to pay for college. So they said, look, if you help me go to college, we will take 10% or 20% of my first 5 years' earnings, and it'll all be open, and we'll distribute that to you to help pay back the loan you're giving me so I can go to college. And a few people made a lot of money doing that. Not only did the person get to go to college and graduate without debt, but then the people who had funded the college, especially for those who became doctors or in certain other professions, engineers, actually made a profit on the money that they put up early. So don't assume that you know today every way that this might be done, because it's up to you. I think you said earlier, dream. That's what it is.
Right.
Dream. We don't know. One of my jobs was basically as the, I'll call it the innovator in residence for a very large company. And all they wanted me to do was come up with new business ideas. And what was fascinating is to go around and talk to the engineers and scientists working for this company and find out what they were working on and remove the blinders that they had that focused, laser focused on doing things that would actually generate money for the company, and say, how many hundred other things could we do with the same technology? And this is where you are today. It's the same kind of thing. Look at stuff, come up with new ideas, and take it and try it out. They won't all work, but I can tell you, I've had a number of businesses, most of which I have to say have been very successful. Some were total failures, but it's a matter of trying things and seeing what happens. And don't be afraid to pivot as you learn.
And I think, going back to this being, protected, SEC regulated, this is not just Joe Schmo coming up with an idea. Cause I can see that that's what's going to happen. Eventually you're going to have just people, show up and be like, I've got this NFT that represents, there's Tucson. Tucson is a troll saying this is boring. Hey, my shows are usually boring, Tucson.
Well, Tucson. What does Tucson want to hear? Tell me what would make this exciting. Don't just
there you go, Tucson.
Just don't throw a negative up. Come up and give us something that we can move on. Because if you are interested, I do this on my programs. I have hundreds of people listening through SCORE, and I always want the audience to tell me what is of most interest to you right now, because then I will answer that question. We want to make this interesting. So Tucson, you got to give us something we can talk about, or I'll say keep quiet. Maybe that's not the right thing to say for your show, for Chain Reaction.
Tucson's always here trolling. It's like Ronnie even likes it. Is it your voice? Oh, I got it. Is it mine or my father? My voice is inherently well, hey, then we can't help him. Dive Jedi's joking about, like, if this is actually one of the other streamers did this where he is selling his channel, tokenizing, I guess, so people can have profit. I'm not going to be doing that, but like he said, it's hysterical. I don't even know if you'd be making 2 cents a day, Dive Jedi. So that would not be worth it. I'm not going to tokenize my show because I like to keep control on it. But yes, that's funny, Tucson. We love you. It's funny your dad doesn't understand Tucson is mentally disabled. By the way, fun under the sun. Let me just give him a thanks here. I really appreciate your support on the stream. He just super chatted us. So I'll give you a little cheer here. And for people who don't, I also have. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's on a loop there. So now I'm going to take it off.
Well, it was on the cheer. Your voice suddenly went away. So maybe that was also a good thing. I got a question. There's some guy, and this is part of the way this whole industry works, keeps flipping up and he wants you to join his channel. It's now off. I can't see it now. But, it's like anybody can use the chat to advertise.
No, you can talk about whatever you want. I don't like, that's what's fun about it. And the interaction between all of us is what we have fun, and we troll each other. And actually, I joke to Big A all the time. Like, I don't understand how people can watch some of my stuff, because I even get bored when we're sitting there talking. Back in the day when we would, when we first did NFTs, it was so interesting because it didn't matter what they talked about. You knew at drop time, if you hit the drop, you were going to make $100 or $1,000 or $5,000. So it was a fun time. And now it's like we're defending NFTs, or we're defending VV or whatever. But this is what's I'm truly excited, and just hearing people in chat, just the different ideas and stuff like that. I'm excited because I really do believe that people are going to gravitate towards this. And one of the things we joke about is, like, with video games and stuff like that. He doesn't like my. Should I change it? What would be better, Tucson? What would be a better logo? But it is fun to think about more than just what we've had and where this goes, because in the end, it's going to lift up everyone. If NFTs kind of lose that bad connotation, it's going to be good for us. Modernize it. Chain Reaction. I don't know. I saw Chain Reaction and I'm like, that's it. I don't know what else. Tucson, give us an idea. I think Chain Reaction's modern. Royalty is out. Sometimes we never know what Tucson's saying. He just enjoys me pulling him up. I think in rainbow flag logo, I could do that. That's a possibility. I'd probably have you make me something, Ronnie Lido. I also had to make this. We had some delays in getting this thing going, so a lot of this had to be done last minute. But either way, with chain reaction, this is going to be something we're going to be doing again. If you're just joining us, the biggest of the announcement was that RarityX, who I know the owner, they sued him in October. And in May, they came up with a settlement, and it is just recently been codified. I can't go into any more than what's in the public records, but now they're going to be moving on. And, like I said, they don't want to be litigious, but they are going to go after every marketplace that they believe is infringing on their patent. But hopefully they can come up with deals and stuff like that. There's the Cobra. This is the wife. Well, hold on. We can't say her name, but Shelby Cobra is the wife. So Tucson, did you miss having BE to Raz this week? He said yes. That's why he's just making up for lost time. Fair enough. Go ahead.
So the thing is, one of the reasons I like chain reaction when you were trying to come up with the right name for this is we don't know how this is all going to fit together. It is going to be a chain reaction as this goes through the marketplace, and as people find out what they can do, everybody's going to be coming up with ideas. Everybody's going to be trying things. They're going to come to RarityX and say, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? And I know Mike, he is going to be encouraging people to try different things. And it is going to be a chain reaction, and it's going to cross all kinds of marketplaces and all kinds of assets. And I think you're going to be surprised. I think it's going to be fun to watch.
And the coolest thing is that we have a connection to him. So just as the VV fam, as we say, if we want something, he's going to be able to potentially provide that. So that's going to be exciting, I think, moving forward. Now, if you have any more questions, please let us know. We're probably not going to go that much longer. This is not going to be necessarily a weekly thing, but I'm going to keep up with the market. I'm going to keep up with what RarityX is doing. If they end up having to sue some of the other bigger players in the NFT market, then you will know about that first thing. We'll go over those. But like I said, I really hope that people will just understand that they're just trying to protect their patents. There'll be some people who want to challenge it. There'll be others that will want to just settle. And I think that's a better way. And I think that's what they really want to do, because I think this space grows better with more people. We've got Denny OC in Canada. Ahoy, ahoy. Good to see you. How are you doing, Screen Friends? Been listening in, but wasn't able to chat. Question, is that a macaw on your dad's shoulder? And is it his or just a random picture?
So
but go ahead.
Real. We were in Honduras, and this thing flew down and landed on my shoulder, and my wife got the picture real quick, and then I had it, I guess you would call it cartoonized. I don't know if that's the right word, but using one of the systems out there to take the picture, turn it into a cartoon. And I've been using that as sort of a picture whenever I'm online. It's a little innovative. It's a little different. And actually, if you look closely, when he blew it up there, the thing landed on there because he wanted to eat my hat. So if you look closely, blow it up again, Brian, and you'll see it's chewing on the brim of the hat. And I think that's the only reason it came down. I wanted to see what this thing was and what it tasted like.
Maybe he was trying to take you out. He was trying to unalive you. Maybe it's possible. It's possible. Thank you for that question, Denny OC. By the way, I will be back on Sunday for the Sesame Street count drop. If you do have any questions, please let us know. I'm really excited about this. And of course, if people have ideas and you want to DM me, or I'm doing another show, that'll be the time. If you come up with some ideas, the ideas are limitless. What can happen here? I'm honestly keep thinking about what Ronnie Lida was saying. Also with Dive Jedi, because that was something I want to do with the comic, or even just like a traveling show. You know, one of the other things I was thinking about with art, you could actually have, you know, a lot of museums share their art. All right. So for instance, if you want a piece of art to come from Europe over to your local museum, you could raise the funds this way and get a special collectible for it. Now, in that situation, I guess it's not tokenized because it's not going to be a real asset that's going to be sold. So, you know, just like we have NFTs that represent just a character on Marvel or something like that, but there's no real value behind it. You'll have stuff like that, but lots of possibilities. No way. That's an awesome story. I love macaws. They are such an amazing animal. We had one of our cousins had a African gray, and that they had a couple. And the biggest problem with them is that they live like 80, 85 years. So like you've got to, you know, if you get them at 20, it's probably going to outlive you. So
Yeah, no,
you
it
have
was
to
a
deal
big
with that.
deal.
Yeah. And yeah, go ahead.
You have to make sure you've got someone to take care of them. And they had 3 birds. And I think it was the African gray. When I'd get up in the morning and go out to read the paper, they had a cover over the cage so the birds would think it was nighttime and stay asleep. And they'd hear me out there, and the one would start singing, "Oh, what a beautiful morning," and wanted
Yeah,
me to
that's
take
right.
the cover off. It was the funniest thing you've ever seen. But I'm going to have to sneak off. I'm taking your mother to dinner tonight, and I'm going to have to get changed and ready. So, you know, this has been fun. I really hope everybody will help us find ways to take advantage of these patents and find new ways to sell things and find new ways for each of you to make money. It's a wide open field. It is going to be a chain reaction. And I've seen this happen a few times just in my lifetime with different things happening in technology. So I wish everybody the best of luck. Have a happy 4th of July. And thanks for letting me talk for a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I'm going to go just a little bit longer here in case people have questions. I'll take you off stage. Thank you. We'll be talking later. Go enjoy your dinner. All right, there we go. So, all right, I don't know. Now we can just relax, right? We get to, I'm thinking of tokenizing Tucson and sell 1,000 shares. That might be as worthless as me monetizing or tokenizing my channel. I'm a huge fan of Macaulay Culkin. There you go. But hey, Tucson would like that. Tucson, it's like it's limitless though. Everyone, Denny OC. So you probably heard what Ronnie was talking about with the Cavs. Honestly, what a good. I know you might have brought that up before, where we share in this. But what I like about having like an official marketplace, places where again where it's insured and all that, that it's just a safer way to do business because you know, let that be taken care of by somebody else. I had a yellow crested Amazon. We read, oh, you've got a lot of animals from an older lady whose husband had it for 40 years. He passed. The bird hated the wife. He actually took a chunk off of her ear. The African gray that the cousin had, or one of them, it would replicate the sound of the microwave. So sometimes they wouldn't know, was it the real microwave going off or the bird. Is really pretty awesome. Babe, don't forget there's another anniversary coming next week. Which one would that be? Uh-oh. Who said I forgot about that? Uh-oh. This is true. Oh, your VV anniversary is coming up. Not our VV anniversary, our real anniversary. Has it been 2 years? It's felt like 20. I mean, it's felt like 2 years. Are you gonna punch? She's not. She's gonna divorce me tonight. Let's see. Deep cut line from Brooklyn 99, yellow crested warbler. So what do you think? So hopefully you understood why this was. I can make it a lot worse. Yes, you could. A lot worse than the punching sound. So, you know, I hope you understand. I know I played this up, but it's a really big deal if you think about it. I know a lot of people are like, what is that? Even told me offline. I don't know if that's anything big. So OpenSea settled with somebody that sued them. It doesn't come lightly to get for a company to just want something to go away. And of course, it's all sealed and we won't know the deal. I don't know the deal or any of that. But it's been settled. And that's a really big deal. But I also think like moving forward, even though I don't work for RarityX, we've got their ear. And who knows? We're going to come up with something cool. I've talked to Mike and Shower about, and of course Vivi would want to have to do it, but to maybe have something there with Vivi. They do deal with coins here. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick before we head out of here. I think they had, I'm trying to think where it was, but you can see up at the top here. They have this free access. I'm not really promoting RarityX right now. You can go take a look at it. But they're going to be getting into these coins. You can see this is just one situation where they're going to fractionalize this. But there's going to be more than this. They're doing this VIP thing. So if you want to take a look at it, take a look at it. I'm not getting paid or anything for that. But you could take a look at RarityX. The information is in chat. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what is going to happen in the next weeks, months, and years here. So if there is no other questions, it doesn't look like there is. This is your last chance if you have any questions, but I'm sure we'll be talking about this more in the future here. Let's see here, Denny OC. The thing is, it sets a standard now, and winning this suit could actually be huge later down the road for sure. Yeah, and it's more they settled, but I'll let your mind go with why somebody would do that or whatever. That's up to you to decide what that means to you. But like moving forward, there's obviously just hundreds of marketplaces. There's big, small. We know some of them. Obviously, the ones we're dealing with, I'm gonna try to have some say in protecting them and all of that. But they also just, if they have the patents, they deserve to do this. But I think in the end, the real big thing, I've talked to Mike about this, is the real world assets. And like we said, Raribles already does it. And of course that's going to be something that they're going to have to deal with RarityX. And that's a big company. I think the guy who owns Pawn Stars is behind that company, some other big people. So yeah, they're going to have to deal with this. But in the end, I think real world assets is where this is going. Like the stuff that we're doing for collectibles with Vivi is really cool, but it's going to be much bigger. Anything else, everyone? I really do appreciate everyone coming here. I apologize that or for Tucson, I apologize that you do not like Chain Reaction is the name of the show. Like I said, this won't be a weekly thing, but there'll be more stuff, and I may even just do videos also to update people. But we'll be talking about this more down the road. And again, I will be thank you, Masteroni. Well, it was boring for Tucson, so it might have been boring for a lot of you. But look, what's going to be really cool about this is that, if my involvement becomes more in this, whatever, I'm taking everyone along with me, and this will be a fun adventure. And I think this in a year, this is going to be even bigger. It's and hopefully everyone will know RarityX and all of that. But we'll see where this goes. Join me on Sunday. I am actually, let me go check to see if he got back to me. It's not official yet. Let's see here. He hasn't responded back, but he asked me. I asked Vicente to come on to talk about Stacker on Sunday. It's a possibility. He's going to try to make it. Emoji is going to do the show. I know VV Magic can't show up, but we're going to have that show. If we're lucky, we'll have Vicente on, and we'll go over Stacker and some of that stuff. And I'm going to have some other interviews coming up in the next weeks and months. So I can't wait to do all this. Did I say it way Sente? Did I say it wrong? Oh, I said was Sente. It's way Sente. Thank you for the clarification. Everyone knows here I don't know how to speak. Chain React has a punch to it. You like Chain React or Chain Reaction? It's like taking the Facebook down to Facebook. Chain React. To end with hard K sound. Chain React. It was made seconds. It was made like an hour before. So anyways, I really do appreciate it. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. Also, if you're one of the few people still left here and you are not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. Yeah, I'll keep you updated as RarityX moves forward with any lawsuits or settlements. I'll keep you updated. He's Spanish, so I would guess it's more Vicente, not way. And what did I say? What? Way? I can't say anything. But Big A, you definitely know for sure. All right, here we go. We're gonna do your theme though. Only use anything we say as constructive to the final outcome. Well, that's why I like all this criticism. He's German. All right, so Vicente. I did not know that, but I hope to have him on. And Dive Jedi, thank you for putting me in touch, because Dive Jedi is not a fan of me, but he's a fan of the channel. I'm just kidding, but I do appreciate that. Hopefully, we'll get that going. All right, I'm gonna shut the heck up. Vicente. Oh, really? I saw his interview and I thought he was Spanish. I misunderstood then. Vicente. I hate my life. All right, everyone. Big A, I'll see you next week. We got lots of stuff coming on. I'll see everyone else on Sunday. We'll not be covering tomorrow's drop. Ente means duck. Oh, yeah, didn't you tell me that? All right, everyone. Appreciate you coming here. Do something nice for somebody today. Really appreciate you hanging out with me. Until Sunday, have a great day. I'm out. Peace.